to the left back position to come up a little bit later in this podcast, the things that we've heard through the grapevine. But defensively, that was definitely a place to start. Moving on from that, obviously, Ole's at the helm, Ole's at the wheel, and he's got this long contract deal now, and that's happened. You know, he signed the contract, and at the time, obviously, you know, you get a string of results, and he was getting good stuff out of the team, and there was definitely a positive change since Mourinho, and I didn't think he was the right man for a long time, you know, for a long period of time. I think once he got the contract, signed the contract, you got to start, as a fan of that club, you got to start backing the manager from then on. And I don't think he's awful. I really don't think he's awful. I think there are way, way more experienced managers out there, which is a very valid point. I was only talking to someone the other day, and he was saying that Ollie's the worst manager in the league, and I'm thinking, it's your opinion, mate. I wouldn't maybe go that far, considering, you know, we finished fourth last season.
Dean Smith on that list?
Yeah, I was going to say, where is Dean Smith on that list?
Oh, that's an atrocious claim.
I wouldn't necessarily go as far to say that. I didn't agree with that point, but I thought there were some definitely managers which are a lot worse on that list, considering, you know, we did get Champions League last season.
Yeah, Dean Smith, Scott Parker, to an extent potentially Frank Lampard.
Lampard, wow.
I mean, like, he's not, you know, he comes from Derby and then he's shipped into Chelsea to try and change the squad. He's done a great job, but I think as experience goes, Ole, they're on a similar level, so he's not exactly. I wouldn't exactly say that he's worse or better.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I think that a lot of the argument from certain people are saying, like, well, when there's managers like Pochettino out there, I think Allegri still isn't tied to a club. You know, there's other big names floating around, and it's just like, well, why aren't you going for that? And I don't want to see managers keep leaving the club. I don't want to see this revolving door thing of, you know, Moyes gone, Van Gaal gone, Mourinho gone. I don't want to see it. It really frustrates me because no manager, they need time to fully integrate their philosophy and get the players they need. And I think Ole's got the players on his side. I think the players want to play for him. I think they don't like the fact that, well, Ole doesn't like the fact that he's not getting the backing. But you could argue that exactly the same thing happened under Mourinho. So it's just at the moment it's a waiting game, really, in my opinion.
Yeah. You raised the point about, you know, there are managers on the market, and people say, oh, well, why wouldn't you go for Pochettino or Allegri? And the point I raise against those fans that say that is that, does a Pochettino or an Allegri have the same passion for Manchester United that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does? A club legend will always have more passion for that team and making it better. Now, that's exactly as we previously mentioned with Chelsea. Frank Lampard has come back and he's done a phenomenal job. He's done an amazing job. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to an extent, with the tools that he's got, with what he's got to deal with, the lack of funding that he's had as well, he's come in and established himself as a manager in this club because he's passionate about it. He wouldn't have got them past PSG in that Champions League if it wasn't for passion. He wouldn't have got them to the Champions League for this season if it wasn't for his passion. So the argument is there for him to stay. And why wouldn't you let him when he has the tools to do it? And he obviously, as you mentioned, has the backing of the players. What does a Pochettino or an Allegri have over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer other than experience that he doesn't already possess for that club?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see the point for that. I think if you sign someone like Pochettino was the name that it wasn't too long ago. Like earlier on when we were doing the average pundits, there was a lot of questions around Ole at the time, and would we see Pochettino coming in, considering he just left his position at Tottenham? And it was something that I think if Ole had to go, that would have been what I would have asked for. If Ole had to go, then it would have been Pochettino for me. And I think he could have come in and he could have brought a very, you know, when he came into Tottenham, he brought this hunger, this new philosophy that Tottenham hadn't seen in a very long time. And he was without a doubt the best thing to happen to Tottenham in decades. He completely brought that team up. And it was that team's performances and that team's run in the Champions League and all of those things which were able to grant them the stadium that they've got now. They've got an absolutely incredible stadium. They owe so much to Mauricio Pochettino, Tottenham. And as a manager, and I really liked his man management and what he brought to the club. Towards the end, it just got to the stage of Tottenham where I think he lost the dressing room. There were a few other issues going on. As you can see in the Spurs documentary, it's a really good watch. And I wouldn't have been opposed to seeing that at the club. But like I said, the second the good performances start rolling in, and the second that the club chose to hire Ollie, it's all right, game mode now. It's like, okay, Ollie's doing good. I want to start backing the manager. And I think the majority of fans would agree. You have to, whilst the manager's there, it may not be your choice, or it may not have been who you want to see there, but you got to back him, otherwise it's going to implode. So I'm still for Ollie being in. What I want to happen is for the board, and I want, to show a bit of passion and say, look, you've got top four. That's not enough. That's not enough. You spend all this money to get top four, which we did last season. We got top four, and then it gets to a summer, which is crucial. You want to be competing for the title. You want to be competing for the cups and the Champions League and stuff. And where's the passion? Are you really satisfied with another fourth place finish, an early knockout in the Champions League, and no silverware? It's not what you want to see. It's really not what you want to see. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take to change that at the moment, because it's got to come from above.
Yeah, it definitely does. And we'll get on to the direct, whether there will be a director of football coming soon, or what there is around the director of football. But with Ollie, you can sense there's frustration there with the lack of spending. Ollie wants to spend. I think it will take a couple years of him just nurturing the squad, because not all teams can just have manager after manager after manager. And that is what's been so unsettling about this United side. And we've said it time and time again. Ollie needs to stay there. Ollie needs to be there for the next 5 or so years. Maybe not 5, because if there's no silverware in the next 5 years, he's gone. Or the next 2 years, he's gone. But, try and aim small for the time being and build the squad up. Although you do have a world-class team, there are pockets that need improving. But this season, you need to establish those areas first. And then next summer will be the biggest summer for Manchester United in recent history anyways. Is Pogba going to stay around? Will the defence finally have, its stability? I think Maguire is a centre-back partner away from having that centre-back partnership. Okay, Lindelof is not the guy for Maguire to be paired with. There needs to be one more reinforcement brought in that centre-back position in order for United to have that stability. And I think Ollie knows that. Ollie is a manager, he knows that. And he's going to try and make something happen with this United team, whether the players, whether the board want it or not. And if they don't agree with him, they're probably going to end up sacking him off, which, again, is probably the worst thing to do. But again, you can't afford another fourth place finish. But one season as a fourth place finish, getting another year of Champions League and focusing on trying to get some silverware for the club wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing in the world. I think Ollie's got his priorities straight. It's just whether he needs more from those above. And I think that